So now we're going to move into the nitty gritty. How are we actually going to do this? What evidence am I going to collect to support or look into this question, and how am I going to collect that evidence? So there are a couple things that you have to consider before you do this, and we're going to break these down. So the first thing that we're going to need to do is what's called operationalizing. There we go, blooper. The terms. Then we're going to have to choose what group we're going to test on, and who we're going to collect this evidence from. And then lastly, we're going to actually have to design critically what this study is going to look like. So let's walk through these 3 steps. Starting off with operationalizing the terms. There you go, I can say this. What this basically means is defining the terms that we have in our question in ways that can actually be measured. So in other words, what does an apple a day keeps the doctor away actually mean? So let's break it down. An apple a day. What do we want that to actually stand for? Maybe we take it literally and we measure this as eating 1 apple every day, a literal interpretation. Maybe we're a little bit broader. Maybe this is going to be metaphorical, and maybe it's just to mean eating a fruit every day, or eating a piece of healthy food every day, or maybe more abstract, eating a fully healthy diet every day. Or maybe we take it, like the meme, and we equip yourself with an apple as a weapon every day. I don't know, whatever you want to say. But we need to define what we actually mean so it's less abstract. And likewise, or just for this example, perhaps I'm going to say that eating an apple a day means eating 1 Granny Smith apple every day for a year. That's something that you can actually measure, put on paper, do, as opposed to an abstract concept. And then likewise, what do we mean by keeping the doctor away? Maybe that means literally the physical distance between you and your doctor. Maybe it means the number of times you visit your doctor. Maybe it's just an abstract physiological measurement of health. So maybe we mean that as like your weight or your blood pressure or your BMI. So we're not literally meaning doctor. Or like the meme, maybe we're measuring how many times you hit your doctor with an apple. It could be anything you choose, but it's important that you define it, because people might interpret your question very differently, and we need to be very clear about what we mean and what we're actually studying. So for this case, we're going to say that we're measuring the number of visits that a person takes to a doctor in a year. So now we've operationalized, we define the terms in our question. So now they become a little bit more tangible. We can actually do something with them. So second, we're going to need to choose the group that we're going to test. Now, the entire group that you have available to you is what we call the population. So, we have a US population, we have a Columbus population. It's the entire group of interest. So we have to think about who actually this phrase applies to. Do we think it applies to all adults, or maybe only children who are still growing, or maybe it's a specific gender, or maybe it's a certain area of the world? So you need to kind of think about who you're theorizing in this question. Now, one important kind of caveat, though, as I'm sure you're maybe thinking about, if I'm claiming that an apple a day keeps the doctor away is true for all adults, it's impossible to physically test every adult. So that's why certain research studies often use just a certain subset of your population. We call this your sample. So the sample of people that you're choosing that's realistic that you can actually test on might be, for instance, all the students that are aged 18 to 40, all adults, in Psych 1100 at OSU. So it's more specific, it's an actual approachable number, it's a group of people that we have the ability to test, and it's more manageable to test. One thing to help you distinguish these 2 words, if they're new for you, population I like to think of is the longer word, so it's the larger of the 2 groups, whereas sample is a shorter word, so it's the smaller group. So when we're doing research studies, we're actually doing the studies on samples, and then we're doing that to try to make some sort of prediction or statement about the overall population. Now, one word of caution here. the samples you choose might not actually be representative in the way that you hope they are. So this example of using students in our psych class is what we call a convenient sample, because it's just convenient for us. We don't have to, go super far to get these people. Convenient samples are not always equal to or representative of diversity in the general population. So as I'm sure you know, the people around you might be a different ratio of race or gender or economic status, things like that. So you can't always draw full conclusions if you're only using the easiest sample for you to get. There are a variety of different, biases that go into this. We don't, happy to talk about them more in detail. You don't need to know them. But just know that you have to be a little bit considerate what sample you're using in order to be most representative.